Very few people live on the island of Cayo Costa.
There are no roads. There are no restaurants.
But on this day 1 year ago, this is the spot where Southwest Florida changed forever. If you were here when Hurricane Ian made landfall, you know what happened.
And if you watched it from somewhere far away, you saw enough to understand it's not something that we want to relive.
That's why from this point forward, you won't see another video from that day.
Because this isn't a story about what happened that day. It's a story about what happened next.
The way we see it, we're about halfway through a three-step process.
Step 1, survive. We started that step September 28th of last year and finished it September 29th.
Step 2, revive. That's the rebuilding process happening all around us, and it's still happening right now.
Step 3, thrive. That's our goal. As far as we can tell so far, we're already well on our way.
Tonight, you're going to hear from some of the people who felt like they might as well have been taken by the storm.
We had 7 feet of water inside of our house.
But you're also going to hear about the people who saved their lives and changed them forever.
You're going to hear about Ian's devastating effects on the environment around us.
That island was just devastating.
But you're also going to see some of the storm's more unexpected benefits.
You'll see how past failures led to present-day success.
And you'll learn the names of the real American heroes, physically rebuilding our community piece by piece and day by day.
I'm John Patrick.
I'm Jim Dickey.
I'm Jeff Harris.
And I'm Megan Miller. This is the story of how Southwest Florida went from survival to revival. So the natural question here is, where should we start? We thought it would be best to start with something we see every day, but don't often pay enough attention to.
Whether you're driving to work and you see all the construction, or just casually sitting on the beach, it really seems like the construction is ceaseless. Cranes on the causeway, trucks by the beach access, those spots that used to offer peace and tranquility are now contaminated with the crack of a hammer or the bellow of a bulldozer. A small price to pay to have our paradise repaired.
You and I have spent the past year trying not to think about Hurricane Ian. But for the men and women controlling these machines, thinking about Hurricane Ian is their day job. They're the ones quite literally moving mountains so we can return to normalcy.
These are the real American heroes who started rebuilding just days after the storm, and they haven't stopped since. And as I found out, they don't plan on stopping until the job is done.
When you drive onto Sanibel Island, in part, this is what you'll see. Businesses with their doors open, customers walking in, and really a more normal, everyday feel than many of us would have expected 365 days ago. What you're not seeing are the dust-covered rooms, the wires dangling, and the dozens of hands passing materials back and forth.
Want to mount your box now?
This is where the rebuilding begins. Dimly lit rooms, hard hats, sweat dripping down foreheads. A group of people determined to make Sanibel, Sanibel again.
I feel pride every day that I drive over that causeway.
1,500 phone calls. Talk about being busy. Brad Nickel couldn't answer quickly enough in the days after Hurricane Ian.
The most common question is how fast can we get there? And then how long will it take to either open the business back up or get them living back in their home?
Everyone you see working, Brad oversees. He owns Benchmark General Contractors, a Lee County company spearheading most of the rebuild on the island.
Since the hurricane, we've touched, probably just over 100 projects. We've completed somewhere around 60 to 65 projects that are hurricane-based.
Doc Ford's, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Island Store. All projects Benchmark help get back up and running. While you and I do our best to put Hurricane Ian out of our minds, these men and women are working through the worst of the damage every day, even a year after the storm.
Every day I drive by and I'm very prideful. And then I'll pass one of our projects and I'll see our team out there helping, put another project together, and it brings a smile to my face every day.
Right now, we're standing on the first floor of the Bailey Matthews Shell Museum. Since the beginning of the year, Brad and his team have been working to get the museum back open, but it's going to take some time.
The average business is probably around 9 months, depending on the level of damage, whether it was just flood or if it was wind and flood.
While the island staple was a mixture of both. More than 5 feet of water flooded the ground floor.
The damage far surpassed any expectation that we had.
Sam Ankerson is the executive director of the museum. On October 2nd, he was able to hitch a ride back to the property to see what was left behind.
We lost about 80% of the animals in the aquariums. And then as we went through other parts of the facility, we were surprised that there was water and structural damage on all 3 floors.
Sam himself wasn't spared either. The rental property he and his wife were living in flooded.
We did lose all of our possessions, or just about all of our possessions, and we were displaced for about 6 months.
But he knew the museum needed help, so he found a way to get there despite having to temporarily move across the state.
Effectively commuting from Fort Lauderdale as many days a week as possible to hitch rides on boats and get to the museum and do the work that we could.
And over the past 9 months, as you can see, they're making progress not just inside the museum, but across the entire island.
It's 7 days a week. It really, the level of activity is amazing.
So when you drive past the construction trucks, cranes, and bulldozers still scattered across the island, try not to think of them as eyesores. Instead, think of the man behind the wheel of that bulldozer or the guy in the cockpit of that crane. They're the ones making sure this seashell sanctuary is coming back.
We don't know exactly when, but it's going to be back, and when it is, it's going to be better than ever, and there are a lot of people working together to make it happen.
It might take a while to get back to where we want to be, but as far as Brad and his team are concerned, it's all well worth it.
It helps me sleep at night knowing that 10 years from now, we built better buildings than before.
From boots on the ground
To growth beyond what the eye can see.
tonight on ABC 7 at 7, we're bringing you an hour-long special dedicated to Southwest Florida's future.
We're talking to locals and experts who get you more on the knowledge we've gained for the next generation. Let's start with our businesses, the backbone of Southwest Florida. After dining with disaster, I'll explain how restaurants are serving up silver linings.
It was completely ravaged.
A move wasn't on the menu.
I just wasn't ready to give up.
Businesses on Lee County's barrier islands were forced to adapt after Ian.
For me, it's the sense of community.
You'll see how they kept business booming.
People coming back.
And hear the plan to come back even better than before.
I don't know if our business would still be around if we weren't planning to eventually get back to Malachet.
Up high, it might still look like our mangroves are a mangled mess, but take a closer look. The water that filled our forests actually turned out to be a positive for our plants.
ABC 7's Alex Howard is showing you the new life sprouting from a brown and brittle exterior.
It's a classic case of judging a book by its cover.
And so all of this growth is sentient.
These mangroves may look devastated, but there's more going on here than meets the eye.
In a lot of forest systems, there will be trees that are hanging out in the understory, just waiting for an opportunity to shoot up into the canopy.
I'll show you how battered forests actually benefited from a fresh start.
And what they need is an opening. They need more light.
They acted from their hearts to help those in desperate need.
Volunteers raced to rebuild homes piece by piece with the skill set and support to make it happen. Tonight, ABC 7's Amanda Lojeski will introduce you to the angels among us.
It's like, we can't just sit here and just be thankful. Like, we have to do something.
Meet the generations of volunteers who just had to help. You'll meet the men and women who spent months rebuilding the homes and rebuilding the hearts of Southwest Florida.
And then I started getting these text messages.
And how some forged a forever bond along the way.
They stayed until it was done.
These 3 stories will show you how our community overcame the odds.
But this is ABC 7 at 7, so we're upholding our promise to get you more by also showcasing some surprise successes.
ABC 7's chief meteorologist John Patrick takes us south to Collier County, where only weeks before Ian, he shows you how Everglades City took extra precautions after learning tough lessons from past storms.
So the insurance is lower on a house that's raised out?
Sure, it's less risk.
Tonight we're back in Everglades City, showing you how homeowners who would have otherwise been flooded out found sanctuary on stilts instead.
And we set sail across the Pine Island Sound to a local spot serving up cheeseburgers in paradise.
And within 2 weeks, we were taking some form of payment.
But the famous dollar bill bar on Cabbage Key now has another claim to fame. It was mostly spared by Hurricane Ian,
losing only a few singles to the storm.
Tonight, ABC7's Jim Dickey is showing you how ancient wisdom from native people who once lived here can teach us how to weather the next storm.
In our hour-long special, only ABC7 will show you the future of Southwest Florida and the people making it possible.
We'll be right back with how restaurants are starting fresh at new locations while also never forgetting their roots. I want you to take a second and imagine your favorite place for a date night dinner. Does it look different today than it did a year ago? Is it even still standing?
Unfortunately, Ian damaged so many Southwest Florida staples. Some restaurants were completely wiped off the face of the earth. But these business owners have shown us that even complete destruction can't stop them.
I got the chance to talk to 2 local business owners, one on Matlacha and one on Fort Myers Beach. They each came up with their own unique way to keep their business booming.
It's a new day at La Ola on Fort Myers Beach. The umbrellas go up in the same sunny spot with the beach as a backdrop.
We feature live music, great entertainment, great food, and the view is still here.
Bright colored businesses used to fill up Times Square. Today, it's a lot emptier. Most places are gone, but so is the rubble.
You know, I'm grateful for where we are. We got a long way to go.
Tom Houghton owns La Ola. It's been his life for almost 20 years.
And I just wasn't ready to give up.
Like many locals, he knows the recovery process can be a slow and grueling one, but it's happening.
Little signs of hope. Celebrate the small victories.
Ian wiped away Tom's business, but it wasn't long until he had wheels in motion to welcome you back.
My head chef and I drove over to Miami and bought a food trailer. At first, we were mainly selling to guys in hard hats, and by December, we started having some of our regular customers come back.
Then in January, he wheeled in what you see today.
So I decided to have these 2 shipping containers built out into a bar.
If another big storm rolls through, he can haul them away.
In less than a day, we could disassemble what needs to be done and hook on to the trailers and pull them away one at a time.
It's temporary. And it works, at least for now.
I'm a tenant here and really appreciate my landlord, the Primo family, for working with me here. And because if not for them, this wouldn't be happening. But I'm hoping that in the next few years, somebody will come along with a plan to rebuild this area, and then I can be a tenant in the new construction.
But with so much uncertainty, he had to come up with a plan B. A second La Ola Surfside restaurant, except this one is a bit further from the surf. At Bell Tower Shops in Fort Myers.
We have our full menu there that we had before the hurricane here.
Business owners across Southwest Florida have had to get creative to make a comeback. And it looks a little different for everyone. Along the calm waters of the Matlacha Pass, Hooked Island Grill still looks like it did right after the storm.
Looks like it would take a gust of wind to blow it into the water.
It's a shocking example of what Southwest Florida endured and the power of storm surge.
I was completely ravaged. The patio was gone, the floors on the inside are gone, the whole building is leaning.
Water washed away concrete, tossed around tables reserved for regulars, and turned the whole restaurant into a sunken shell of a building.
That island was just devastated.
You can see why the owner, Kyle Sherman, almost walked away.
As soon as the hurricane happened and looking at my wife and kids kind of huddled into a hallway at my parents' house, we were pretty certain that we didn't want to ever put our family through that again. And I was ready to go put a hook somewhere else in the United States, preferably north, away from any sort of hurricanes.
But when he posted the damage to Facebook, he saw an outpouring of support.
Hooked meant more to a lot of people than we thought.
Looking around, he didn't just see a pile of rubble hanging into the water. He saw decades of memories, livelihoods. So just days after the hurricane, Sherman went searching for a new opportunity and landed about 30 miles away.
We looked at 3 different places and we were pretty sure this was the one we wanted to start again in.
At Gulf Coast Town Center in Estero.
We did about 12 to 20 hour days for about 3 months. straight, and then had a really solid open.
Kyle says moving inland was his only way to stay in Southwest Florida. But he's also got a goal to get back to Matlacha.
I don't know if our business would still be around if we weren't planning to eventually get back to Matlacha.
What's the plan for that building? Do you know?
We don't know. We've been in close communication with our landowner for a while, and obviously with a hurricane, there's a lot of complications that come up across the board.
He does know. He wants to come back even better than before.
We went about twice as big here. We want to do the same thing out there.
And for now, he's happy to serve up a taste of the island from his new location. Something familiar, when so much of the paradise we once knew is different than it was before.
We are lucky enough to employ people from Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Captiva, Matlacha. We still have some original employees that travel still to come down and work for us. We've been through a ton as a community, and again, we're really thankful for all the love and support we've gotten, and I would definitely plan on seeing more Hooked Island grills in the area in the next couple of years.
And as businesses across our area continue to recover, they still really need our support. So be sure to shop and eat local.
Coming up next right here on ABC 7, the unexpected environmental benefits of hitting the hurricane reset button. We know so much was decimated by Hurricane Ian. So for this story, we wanted to start with a simple question.
Is there anything that benefited from Ian's destruction? Are there any parts of our ecosystem that actually needed the hard reset the storm provided?
To get to the bottom of this, we sent ABC 7's Alex Howard out into the wilderness with nothing more than that question and a camera. And he came back with not one, but two answers.
Alex gets us more on the unexpected benefit the storm provided.
A little farther in.
Our journey began on a boat from FGCU's Vester Field Station in Bonita. It was a short trip to a place perfectly described by biologist Wynn Everham.
You know, it's still a hot, wet, muddy jungle gym filled with spiders, right? And maybe it's even harder because some of the jungle gym got broken and it's all piled on the ground.
Couldn't have said it better myself, and he's right. This humid, muddy mangrove forest has seen better days. That's why Dr. Everham and FGCU's Brian Bovard are making it the center of their studies.
The leaves were still here. It was like everything that was under the storm surge was protected. Everything above it had the leaves blown off of the trees.
The condition of our mangroves is one of the more observable reminders of Hurricane Ian's wrath. What was once a flourishing green forest is now brown, brittle, and dead. And it's especially noticeable from the air. Miles of dry mangrove branches, devoid of color and devoid of life.
And the blacks seem to have fared a little bit better than the other species in here.
But what if I told you the further we zoom out, the harder it is to see what's really going on? Because below this damaged canopy lies a completely different story.
So this is a white mangrove seedling.
Everywhere we looked, young mangroves were shooting up to take the place of older ones, decimated by the storm. And it's not the first time we've seen this happen.
And what they saw after Irma was that the sediment deposition resulted in a die-off in the mature trees, and then the understory trees just shot up, and they think have taken advantage of the nutrients in the soil that was deposited from the estuary.
Brian and Wynn want to understand what's going on here. That's why they've deployed a team of students tasked with meticulously documenting each tree that grows within this 25-acre plot of mangroves.
50 years from now, what will our colleagues that work at FGCU or work in this region wish we had done? Well, they wish we had measured some mangroves 50 years ago, right?
So we're measuring, tagging, and then we're going to come out a couple months later, or about a year later, and we're going to see if they're still growing, if they're alive, if they're coming back.
Along the way, we got a lesson in mangrove identification too.
Next to me is a red mangrove, and the reason I know this is because the roots at the bottom prop up. Black mangrove, we say looks like a wine cork, so it's the big one behind you. They're also thicker in size. A white one has spots, like little spots on it.
And while it might be too soon to tell what exactly is causing this regrowth, we've learned over time that even the strongest hurricanes can bring unexpected environmental benefits. As Brian Bovard explained, these storms have the ability to reset a forest, much like shuffling a deck of cards.
In a lot of forest systems, there will be trees that are hanging out in the understory, just waiting for an opportunity to shoot up into the canopy. And what they need is an opening. They need more light.
And mangrove forests aren't the only parts of our ecosystem benefiting from that hard reset.
Here at 6 Mile Cypress, you can see where felled trees have opened up canopy space for new growth. And it doesn't just happen with cypress trees.
The two trees that I like the most are slash pines and bald cypress because they have good apical dominance, which means they grow straight and tall. And the limbs go out to the side so that when they get shaded, the limbs get shaded, they just fall off and fall down.
For some perspective, we talked to Russ Ringland from Future Forestry in Cape Coral. While his organization focuses on urban forestry, he understands better than most how hurricanes can actually help local forests.
The experts will tell you that it's good to have openings in the forest so that the sunlight can get to the ground and you can have fresh trees and other things start from scratch.
And humans can even help the process along.
We have a rebirth after a hurricane where there's a lot of work. People are fixing their houses, or getting situated again. So we have a renewed emphasis on planting and getting back what we had before. So you get younger people involved with planting and show them that with the things they spend a few hours planting trees, they make a difference and they change their environment.
That was ABC 7's Alex Howard reporting.
Up next, see how an ancient pile of seashells spared a world-renowned restaurant.
This is where Hurricane Ian made landfall.
And this is the world-famous Cabbage Key Restaurant and Inn, situated smack dab in the middle of the Pine Island Sound. You might think the popular Boater's Pit Stop dealt with extreme damage after taking a direct hit.
But this piece of paradise started serving up cheeseburgers mere days after the storm rolled through. Our question here can be summed up in a single word: how?
ABC 7 meteorologist Jim Dickey solves the curious case of Cabbage Key.
In case you don't recognize where we are from all the dollars on the wall, we're at the world-famous Cabbage Key restaurant. And this is the burger I've heard so much about. Local legend says this is the burger that Jimmy Buffett wrote Cheeseburger in Paradise about. But that's not why we're here today. After Ian, I heard from so many of you asking how Cabbage Key fared. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have high hopes. After all, Cabbage Key is a tiny island situated right in the middle of the Pine Island Sound. And that island, only about a mile away from where I'm standing, is Cayo Costa, which, as you'll recall, is where Ian made landfall with 150-mile-per-hour sustained winds.
And yet, while Ian took so many iconic spots and landmarks from us in Southwest Florida, Cabbage Key was thankfully not one of them. In fact, managing partner Rob Wells says only 2 weeks after Ian hit, the restaurant was back open and ready to serve a hurricane-weary Southwest Florida.
Our goal was, hey, we've got something that we can get back open again, and let's get after it. And within 2 weeks, we were taking some form of payment, and we were open and had enough docks and things cobbled back together to welcome customers back in.
But how is that even possible? One factor, the eye of the storm. Thanks to Ian's path, Cabbage Key ended up in Ian's calm eye for about an hour, limiting its exposure to the worst of Ian's winds. Now, of course, the buildings did sustain some wind damage. However, improvements made to the property after 2004's Hurricane Charlie kept those damages to a minimum.
Because after Charlie, everything in our mind was, if we're going to do it and we're going to build it back, let's build it back better than it was. Let's be stronger. Let's make improvements every year to get ready for a bigger storm.
Though as we saw a year ago, it was the water, the storm surge, that caused the worst damage from Ian. Do you have any indication of how high the water came up here?
I think here it was probably 4 or 5 feet, so over the docks and into the dock houses, but not up into the buildings.
You would think storm surge like that would wash right over a tiny island like this. But right when you step off the boat and onto the dock, you can see how Cabbage Key was able to withstand Ian's surge. And what's something of a rarity here in Southwest Florida, there's a pretty steep elevation rise from the dock up to the inn and restaurant. In fact, it's a 30-foot elevation rise, making this one of the highest spots in Lee County. Southwest Florida naturally is very flat, so you probably guessed this hill is man-made. It comes courtesy of the first residents of Cabbage Key, the Calusa. Long before the first Europeans settled in the area, the Calusa were thriving here for some 2,000 years. The Calusa were known for building large mounds or middens out of shell and clay. One of those middens is right here on Cabbage Key.
The largest of the mounds were likely over 40 feet tall, and they were really huge complexes. So the mounds served several purposes, but one of them could have been certainly keeping out of the storm surge of tropical storms or hurricanes.
The inn and restaurant at Cabbage Key sit right on top of one of these shell mounds. During Ian, it provided natural protection from the rising waters.
So we sit here 20 plus feet above sea level with great views, and it almost doesn't feel like you're in Florida because of the elevation out here on Cabbage Key. But you can see where it also would really be helpful when you have these big storm surges, floods, and things like that.
So what lesson can we take from what happened here, or perhaps what didn't happen here in Cabbage Key during Ian? To me, it signals that we can stand up to even the worst hurricanes as long as we're strategic. When we build, we need to do so with hurricanes in mind. We build not just to withstand the winds, but taking a cue from the first humans to live and thrive here, build at elevation to physically rise above the threat of storm surge. We do that, and we can keep coming back to our favorite spots like this one for years to come.
That was ABC7 meteorologist Jim Dickey reporting.
Up next, our 2,000-year transition from shell mounds to stilts.
We've already established that elevating your home can protect you from storm surge, but now it's time to take that concept and push it forward into the future.
We started with shell mounds, but today we keep our houses high by using stilts. Same idea, just more modern and efficient.
There's no better example of this idea than Everglades City. They adapted after taking a hard hit from a different hurricane. And as you'll see, things worked out much better this time around.
Chief Meteorologist John Patrick shares this town's success story.
The new building code requires houses to be built 9 feet above ground level to prevent damage from storm surge flooding from hurricanes. Everglades City has been doing that ever since Hurricane Irma. A lot of the houses on this street are being built or are already built 9 feet above ground level.
The whole point of this height is to keep away from the water, something you learn when you've been through a few.
I'd gone through Hurricane Andrew, and I came here, and 4 years later we had Wilma. And then a bunch of years after, 10 years after that, we had Irma, and 4 years after that, we had Ian, and that's too many too fast.
For the people who live in Everglades City, the stilts that hold their homes up high are a lifeline, because when you're on the ground, you get wet.
It's just a problem, being on the ground.
First thing in the morning, in what was a 3-foot deep river of water.
So when Irma came through, and I had about 5 feet of water.
It's something our ancestors knew just as well as we do.
And there are structures like this throughout the 10,000 islands, all the way from Estero Bay all the way down to Chokoloskee.
In Jim's story, we learned about the Calusa natives and the way they used massive shell mounds to skirt storm surge thousands of years ago.
And these can be seen if you look on, say, satellite imagery. You can tell how there's different topography that rises in some areas up to 20 feet.
We learned about the concept of building up and how much time and effort it took.
They didn't have cranes, they had just their hands and their scoops and I guess eat a lot of oysters.
But today, oysters aren't a building material. They're an appetizer, and building up is quite a bit easier now that we don't have to do it by hand. As technology advances, the question becomes, how do we take what we've learned from these ancient inhabitants and put it into practice?
They were actually very, very skilled engineers, and they lasted several thousand years.
The answer, at least in Everglades City, is stilts.
So this being a floodplain and known for its occasional flooding, yeah, I certainly wanted an elevated home.
So many homes were destroyed when Hurricane Irma brought 9 feet of storm surge to Everglades City in 2017. The extreme damage forced the city to change its building codes. Dozens of homes are lifted 9 feet off the ground, and Hurricane Ian was the first true test. According to the people who live here, it worked.
All of my actual living, day-by-day living equipment, my appliances, my living space, was never in danger of, getting any kind of water intrusion into it.
Being up on stilts, do you feel safer from storm surge than if you had a house that was at ground level?
Absolutely.
And if the benefit of protecting your life and property aren't enough, the price of insurance is also a plus.
Insurance is lower too. I mean, I can't imagine if people in the lower, ground level houses even get insurance nowadays.
We checked with an insurance agent and he agreed.
Flood insurance rates are based on, almost always are based on elevation. And if water has a way to pass underneath through the home, FEMA rewards people with lower rates.
Sure, climbing 9 feet to your front door with your arms full of grocery bags isn't the most convenient thing in the world. But Everglades City shows us how elevation can keep us safe from even the strongest of storms. The concept of building higher to get out of the way of storm surge may be ancient history, but more necessary than ever as we move into the future.
So that in itself is really the benefit.
And if you're still turned off by the grocery thing, don't worry. The good people of Everglades City have already come up with a solution for that.
A number of us houses now have lifts that we've put in, and for me it's now even just to go grocery shopping. I can put my groceries on the lift and bring it up.
That was Chief Meteorologist John Patrick reporting.
Coming up, a hero who just can't seem to stop helping others.
One year ago, we lived through Southwest Florida's darkest day. But sometimes it's when we're at our worst that the best people come into our lives.
ABC 7's Amanda Lejeski is introducing us to an angel.
Kelsey Mitchell is a wife, a mother, and a Rotarian.
There's 1.3 million Rotarians all across the world.
Service shaped the story of her life in more ways than one.
I met my husband after Hurricane Irma volunteering. It was a culture that we set within our family. That's what we wanted our kids to know, is like, this is how you give to people. This is how you serve your community.
What she learned from the Rotary Club, she applied to her family. So when Hurricane Ian destroyed our community, the Mitchells skipped the morning and went to work instead.
I knew alone we couldn't make a huge impact, but if we worked together, it could be anything.
And work together they did. Rotarians across the globe stepped up to the plate, sending semi-trucks full of supplies to Southwest Florida.
We had 2 disaster relief trailers that were fully stocked with supplies. You could probably have about 50 volunteers working out of one trailer, but I guess when you have the heart for something, it just shows up.
Kelsey certainly showed up, but she didn't stop there.
How did we meet Kim and Doug?
Oh, Kim and Doug. Gosh, so before I met Kim and Doug, we were working in Harlem Heights.
Part of her relief responsibilities included searching for new areas in our community that needed help from the Rotary Club. That's what led her to this community on Fort Myers Beach.
I think I sent 100 text messages, like all within a few minutes of like, hey, my name is Kelsey Mitchell, I'm with Rotary, do you still need help on your house?
I started getting these text messages.
My wife, being the skeptic, said, is this a scam?
When Kim was texting me back and she was like, are you a scammer? I'm like, oh, no, duh, Kelsey, you should be calling these people.
So she picked up the phone and let Kim and Doug know she would be at their house the next day with a crew to clean up Ian's mess.
And oh boy, we had 7 feet of water inside of our house.
And 8 feet outside.
Their backyard and pool filled with belongings that didn't belong to them.
I had bedroom sets and couches, and I had someone's dining room table in my pool. Someone's picnic table was in my pool.
No wake, not even one from Ian's strong storm surge, can break these two. It could have broken the home the couple's owned for 10 years, but Kelsey and her family made sure that didn't happen.
She came with her husband and some other people from the Rotary. Her children come with her, and they showed up with tools and like shovels and rakes and wheelbarrows and chemicals to spray the mold.
They handed out industrial fans, dehumidifiers, anything and everything needed to save this home. But don't take it from me, just ask Doug and Kim.
And they
worked
all the drywall out.
They worked from like 8 o'clock in the morning till like 6 o'clock at night.
Yep.
And we cleaned out my whole house.
Quite literally cleaning from the floor to the ceiling.
I didn't have to replace the fan, but the water went right to here.
Oh wow, you can see the discoloration.
Yeah, this is all rusty.
It's rusted.
They stayed until it was done.
Yeah, one day.
Kelsey and her team of Rotarians didn't just save this home.
Kelsey and her team just went right down the street and just helped everyone.
6 houses.
We did that house right there with the black roof. We did this house. We did the basement of this one, that one across the street, and the one down on the end.
They couldn't save every house on the block, but they tried. When you live to help others, it can be tough to hear that a home is beyond repair. But that's when Kelsey looked to her newfound friends for support.
Kim and Doug will forever be very, very close to my heart, and they will forever be my friends because we created a bond through serving each other, and they don't even realize, but they helped me just as much as I helped them. I needed that encouragement that they gave me because there were days where it was really hard.
Doug and Kim say offering encouragement was the least they could do.
Where would this community be without those volunteers, do you think?
Oh
We'd
boy.
still be a total disaster still.
Yeah.
Without those volunteers.
But we're not, and that's all thanks to the thousands of people like Kelsey, people who dropped everything to support those who call Southwest Florida home.
We were working in Island Park, and I will never forget Morgan and Caleb, two of my younger kids. They sat outside and they actually helped the homeowner go through some of her pictures that she found. And so the homeowner was sitting there with them and she was kind of sharing stories, and she was just saying, like, these are some of the things that, this is what my family's like. And Morgan and Caleb were like, oh, that's really amazing. And they were just like talking. And so it's like, that's why you do this, right? You want to create generations of people that will give back.
You just have to keep paying it forward.
And Doug and Kim aren't just talking the talk. This story comes full circle.
And Doug and I joined the Rotary because we wanted to pay it forward because they saved our lives. Literally saved our lives.
Just like the flamingos on their mailbox, whether it's one leg or two, Doug and Kim are still standing, but they'll never forget the person who helped them when they needed it most.
Anything you want to say to Kelsey?
We love you.
Thank you.
We just spent the last few minutes highlighting one person, but we know there are so many of you who have done so much for our community.
We want to thank you for allowing us to share your stories and for giving us all hope for the future of Southwest Florida.
We feed over 1,000 people for free every day. It's a full-time job. There's need every day that's not met.
Depicting our vibrancy through art.
It kind of took off. Everybody really enjoyed seeing her.
This man does a lot for the island.
Documenting our revival for future generations in a book.
There's stories of humanity, there's stories of survival, there's stories of heroism.
And this will work out amazingly. I don't know how, but it will be amazing.
And through song.
We're all still here. You invited us into your home, and now we want to invite you into ours.
The ABC7 newsroom and studio, where we rode out Hurricane Ian, just like many of you.
As we make our way to the studio, you'll pass by my desk.
And mine. And we'll also pass by the edit bays.
Where right now the editors are hard at work, but during Hurricane Ian, it doubled as one of my bedrooms.
What's good, y'all? I don't even know what time it is. But I'm safe, Hudson's safe, sleeping. I don't think I can flip the camera, but basically in a box and whatnot. It's just one of our, where we edit stories and stuff.
Just down this hall, you'll find our studio where just about 5 seconds we'll be live.
So we better get back to the desk.
And of course, this is where we bring you your ABC7 News at 6, 7, and 11 o'clock every night. And I know that Megan and I just touched on it a little bit here, but everywhere across Lee County in Southwest Florida, we had so many different people that were helping everyone throughout Hurricane Ian. And of course, we just want to say thank you. Everybody here from ABC7 wants to say thank you for everything that you did for us during that time.
And so many volunteers continue to feed people, to help people clean out their homes. I mean, there are so many people who haven't really even started the process, just waiting on insurance, things like that. We know it's difficult for a lot of you still. And I mean, we think about you constantly. I know it's been heavy on my heart today, of course, also thinking about the lives lost. I mean, as we move forward, that is something we will continue to remember, and we will never forget that and what people lived through. JP, of course, you were a saving grace for a lot of people, and we want to thank you for you and our team of meteorologists.
Everything that you did.
Keeping people informed through such a horrific day.
And, you know, this is something that is, you know, we've gone through a year and there's been a lot of rebuilding, but this is going to be a process that's going to take years to get back to some sort of normal. And when you were walking through the edit bays in the newsroom and talking about the areas where we would sleep, one of the lessons learned about sleeping quarters here at ABC7 that I learned after Hurricane Irma, I thought that this was in the old studio. There used to be a monitor right here, and then behind it was a nice, dark,
draped area that I thought would be wonderful to sleep in. Didn't realize we would be on the air all night long. So for Ian, I actually slept upstairs in the traffic department.
We learn lessons.
Yes. Lessons learned, yes.
Each time.
Yes.
And I mean, Amanda, Alex, Jeff, I know, all of us have been out in the field as well. Just, it's been a lot to see our communities go through this, and we're all going through it with you.
Yeah, and I think the best part of it is, each of us kind of looks at this storm through a different lens, right? I mean, you saw it with all these different packages. For me, obviously, seeing the regrowth, the rebirth of those mangroves and the reset of our ecosystems is a big part of it, but also just the stories of heroism, heartbreak, all of it. I mean, to be there and part of it, and I mean, Amanda, you've seen it firsthand too.
And real quick, we do want to make sure we thank our photographers, John Wicks and Chris Noonan. They have been out in the field. They have been working really hard on this special for you. And thank you for watching.